Hey guys, welcome to your weekly astrological horoscope for Sunday, December 31st. Oh man, trying to get my dates straight here. So yeah, it's the last day of the year, right? For the Gregorian calendar, it is the last day. And although there's not a lot of alignments that, line up really well between the Gregorian calendar and the astrological calendar, we definitely can use the Gregorian calendar to figure out how to move forward, as it is the more standard and universal calendar of the world, really. So let's take a look at what we got going on for our last day here before everyone begins to go crazy and start celebrating and do all that fun shenanigan stuff, right? As you may imagine, the moon is still in Gemini. It is at the later degrees of Gemini, as it is in the 24th degree, getting ready to shift over to Cancer in just a couple hours, which, speaking of which, we got 6 p.m. going on here for the 31st. But let's take a look at some of the stuff that we have going on. So remember, yesterday I told you guys not to be talking about a lot of the plans that you have moving forward. And sure enough, as you can see, the moon will also be opposing Mercury as it transits through Gemini. So once again, this is really indicative of just like, don't spill the beans. Really hold on to those secrets for just a longer. Not even really secrets, revelations. Hold on to those revelations a little bit longer, because if it were secrets, we'd be in Scorpio, but this is more like revelations. It's always interesting because with Gemini in Sagittarius, it's the, how do I say this? Sagittarius is kind of like the eye of being able to see into spirit, whereas Gemini is the ears to be able to listen to spirit. And so with Gemini in Sagittarius, it's like, imagine trying to see with your mouth as opposed to trying to see with your eyes, right? So it's always a little bit crazy with Gemini there, or with Mercury there, because it's very confused, and it's just like, I'm hearing things, I'm hearing ghosts. It's like Mercury is going through a ghost house right now, and it's just like, it's freaking out constantly. So honestly, telling ghost stories to others probably isn't the greatest idea, which is why you definitely, whatever experiences you have, or any plans that you have, or any preparations that are going on, just keep them in your head, keep them in there, because we're gonna be trying to manifest them very shortly, as we get closer to that full moon. Other things I really wanted to talk about here, as you can see, we do have a sextile over to Uranus. So sextiles, again, are things you really have to put effort in, things that you have to consciously activate. And that sextile to Uranus and Athena there definitely is kind of a call to action as we move over into that full moon. And keep in mind that we will also be, Uranus will be going direct right after the full moon. So this is a really big call to action. If you have not already done some internal changes within yourself, you don't have a whole lot of time. We've been talking about this for quite a couple days now, since Wednesday at the very least, where we were talking about Uranus going retrograding, and or actually going direct right after the full moon, and the conversation shifting from making changes internally to making changes externally. So take this time, if you haven't already done so, to make internal changes. Knowing the truth inside of you, make internal changes, and look at this beautiful yod that both the moon and Uranus are creating over to Vesta. That is the commitment to the self. So, this evening is a very good time to literally just commit to yourself. I know there's a new year going on. I know there's a bunch of parties going on. And it's probably going to be one of those days where it's just like, I don't really want to party with anybody else. I just kind of want to have a nice evening and maybe talk to a couple people, maybe chat a little bit, find out about worldly problems or worldly conversations, because Gemini is the lower mind and it rules everything of lower discussions. So talking about people, talking about trends, talking about cultures and stuff. Well, actually culture is a little higher. But things that have to do about, like, I don't know, talking about TV celebrities, about life, about everyday things, gossiping about others, all of that is Gemini stuff. So although you'd want to keep your higher experiences to yourself, your spiritual experiences, keep them in your head for now. This is a good time to be engaging with everybody else, you know, kind of falling in and kind of conversing with others. But you know, there's always this energy to always want to please oneself. And if maybe this is something that you want to sacrifice, maybe you don't want to spend New Year's with other people. Maybe you just want to stay at home. That's fine. You can go ahead and do that. I feel like there's definitely going to be some sort of sacrifice of desires, because remember, keep in mind that Vesta is in Scorpio, and so the things that she's going to be sacrificing the most are going to be some sort of personal desires. So for example, oh, I really want this chocolate bar this evening, but I shouldn't have it. Or maybe actually, you know, it's also probably a very bad timing for any kind of alcohol or drinking as well, especially because it's a new year, and so everyone's going to probably be celebrating drinking and all that stuff. You know, definitely don't encourage engaging in any kind of like substance or anything, just because Vesta here is really indicative of like sacrificing that. Even though, you know, you really want it, you probably shouldn't have it. Spending, although not necessarily, kind of, because it is opposing Taurus. Definitely don't spend as much, right? Don't spend on yourself. If you spend for other people, I think it's more accepted, but definitely spending on yourself is not as great. Although, like, the only reason I'm a little uncomfortable to say that is because we're talking about Scorpio and not Taurus. Taurus would be more about the spending on the self and stuff and luxury and all that. Scorpio just kind of like reminds me of like, don't borrow money. I think that's the better message to say here. Don't borrow money to spend on yourself. Because Scorpio is the 8th house, which deals about other people's money. And so you don't want to be spending other people's money on yourself. Definitely don't engage in any of that kind of activity at the very least. If you're gonna spend on something, spend with your own money. Don't spend with anybody else's money. Even in a trivial way, and I hate that we have to talk about triviality, but because the moon's in Gemini, I feel like we have to talk about trivial shit. Like, don't even do something as trivial as like, oh, here, or someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, can you buy me something here? Here's like $10. Go to the store and buy a pack of beer or a pack of cigarettes or something, right? And then you come back and they're gonna be like, oh, this isn't what I asked for. This wasn't the right thing. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, really, you get me to leave. I didn't even want to go out there because it's fucking cold. I come back, bring you what you asked for, and then you're like, that's not even what you asked for. So, you know, as far as like triviality, it could even be as low as that. But definitely don't spend money that you don't have, because it's not going to work out well, especially because the malefic point is Taurus. Anything dealing with money just is not a good idea. I mean, aside from that, really enjoy the New Year coming up, right? Moon's opposing Chiron squaring Chiron while opposing Venus over here. So, you know, this is a very big kind of emotional moment in which Chiron's trying to figure out if it wants to go the emotional route or if it wants to go the pleasurable route, and just to be able to cure its own problems and plights. this isn't a very great aspected Chiron, and moving into a new year, that is. And honestly, this whole Chiron right here sextiling Vesta, as I just spoke about a moment ago, it's really a moment of, don't do anything really stupid. Don't do something that is against your own gut, against your own intuition. And if sacrifices need to be made in order to stay safe, stay happy, and stay positive, make sure that you're balancing this almost scale of, if you will, of the things that make you happy, your pleasures, and the download information that you're getting. Not necessarily a particular topic to talk here about, but sometimes our spirit guides will have us going in directions that oftentimes we're like, no, we don't want to do that. That sounds dumb. That sounds risky. That sounds retarded. And at the same time, you're getting those downloads of like, you probably should be doing this, but your gut feeling is kind of telling you, nah, I want to be doing something else. And so just keep in mind that sacrifices may need to be made for helping out this Chiron here. So those are kind of really the big major transits happening for the day. As usual, hopefully you guys found this useful as we move forward into the new year. I guess even before you know what? Happy New Year. I'm just going to go ahead and say Happy New Year. I'll probably say it again with the new moon and with the January video. You guys are seeing this a little bit early. Either way, Happy New Year. I'll see you guys on the next cast. Stay safe, stay positive. Please, for the love of God, stay safe. As we roll over another year, 2018. Are y'all ready? I hope y'all are, because it's about to be a explosive ride. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.